Hello, YouTube. Just enjoying some Granger, Granger pipe tobacco, classic. Actually, this was the kind that my grandfather smoked for many decades. Nice, a nice burley blend. I got some Earl Grey to go along with it. I'm reading a new book. I'm always reading a new book. I go through books like, I lost track of the metaphor. But anyway, I go through books fast. This one, Breath for the Bones, Art, Imagination, and Spirit by Luci Shaw, the great American poet. There's one section I thought I'd share with you. It's from chapter 2, Entering into Beauty. I thought it was really good. She says, for some churches, if you're not actively evangelizing, that is, saving souls, you're not in the business of God. To me, the business of God is to be as fully human as God programmed us to be. And that includes the creative impulse, the impulse toward beauty, as well as the witness of a life lived well. I thought that was just really good because a lot of times we certainly we're given the Great Commission, but a lot of times we interpret the Great Commission as, okay, you have to constantly be leading someone through these series of steps. We like to call it the Romans Road, and all that is good, can be good, but it can kind of turn Christianity into kind of a syllogistic, scientific method type of thing, and that's not Christianity at all. It's often been described that a better way of looking at the Great Commission is, instead of thinking of that word go as an imperative, like a command. In one way it is a command, but it really is referring to as you go. As you go into the world, make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to observe what Christ commanded. As you go. It's like saving souls is more of a natural byproduct than a strict syllogistic, we gotta send, well, like the Mormon church does, we gotta send our young people for, I think it's like 2 years to like share the faith. That's, I mean, a lot of good can come out of that, but that's more syllogistic than Christianity is intended to be. Christianity is very poetic. Christianity is a poetic religion, and God is a poet. Earlier in the she says, before I get to that, let me tamp this down. We'll light up again. But earlier in the chapter, she says, as my friend Elizabeth Rooney once said, imagine making something as useful as a tree, as efficient at converting sunlight into food and fuel, as huge and tough as a white oak that can live 300 years, and then decorating it in spring with tiny pink leaves and pale green tassels of blossoms. Beyond, and then this is after she, the quote, beyond his primary creation of our vividly beautiful universe, with all its sounds and colors and smells and textures, God also seems to be interested in helping his people create and appreciate beauty. God is a poet. And if you've read C.S. Lewis's The Screwtape Letters, the devil was a bureaucrat. The devil is pragmatic. The devil is all about strict syllogisms and things like that. Scientific method. And that hideous strength, the third of Lewis's Ransom trilogy, the NICE, the National Institute of Coordinated Experiments, the bad guys, they're obsessed with order and with cleanliness. And Lewis very ingeniously shows the folly of that in a discussion in which I believe it was Phyllis Shaw, though. I forget the character, but anyway, they're looking up at the moon, and he says, that is paradise. Imagine if you were there. You'd most certainly die, but you'd very quickly be a pile of clean ash. Satan and progressivism always leads to destruction. Always it's to create order, but it hates hates biological life. Always seeking to do away with biology. It's no accident a lot of our like science fiction fears about alien races, Lewis talks about this in Out of the Silent Planet, have to do with either barren wasteland on another planet or a series of nightmarish machines. In Star Trek, we have the Borg. And then if you've read A Wrinkle in Time, there's a very just haunting scene in that book by Madeleine L'Engle of when they're on Camazotz, the dark planet, the evil planet where Meg's father is being held hostage. very haunting scene in which they notice these children playing, and at first it doesn't seem too odd, but yet there's something odd about it that they can't put their finger on. And suddenly they realize that all the children in playing with their balls, they're bouncing their balls exactly in tandem with each other. And then they see a male boy, a paper boy, ride by, and he's, at first they don't think anything odd of it, but then they realize that the arc of throwing the paper is exactly the same at every house he stops at, and it lands in exactly the same spot. Everything is rigorously the same, and just very bureaucratic, much like C.S. Lewis's The Screwtape Letters. And I think, L'Engle loved C.S. Lewis. I think that depiction had a lot of Lewis's influence on it, like we see in the National Institute of Coordinated Experiments and Screwtape. God is a poet and the devil is a bureaucrat. I love that image, and just what she said here that I read earlier for you. Just the business of God is to be as fully human as God programmed us to be, and that includes the creative impulse, the impulse toward beauty, as well as the witness of a life lived well. We evangelize through, of course, using words. We do have to use words, but it's not through syllogistic, going door to door, leading people through this step-by-step method. We evangelize by living life, by being human, by talking with people over a pipe maybe, or over inviting people over for tea and watching a movie together, just living life with them. And if we're friendly to people, if we are their friends, conversations will come up, and they'll see that we're just regular people. Like, that's the business of God, to be as fully human as God programmed us to be. So, I thought I'd share that with you. I'm really enjoying this book by Luci Shaw a lot. Breath for the Bones. I encourage you to get a copy yourself. It's very good. Hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend.